good evening and welcome to the first official meeting of the Delegate Council of the NGS. We're excited that you're here this evening. I'm Dawn Carey Henry. I'm the outgoing chair of the Delegate Council.
And I'm Sam Williams. I'm the current vice chair of the Delegate Council Steering Committee. And I'd like to give just a brief intro since this platform is new to all of us. It's not just new to you, it's new to me, it's new to Don, it's new to Matt. So I just wanted to point out a couple different things for you about tonight. If you have any questions at any point about how to use this platform, the bottom left of your screen, there's a little question mark on a bubble, and you can click that for any of your tech support problems. To turn on your mic when it gets to discussion time, we'll have that opportunity. On the right side, you're going to see a box. It says chat, participants, and Q&A. The chat is where you can discuss anything or say anything you'd like, comments-wise. When we see Q&A, that is going to be something we're going to use in a little bit for voting. And if at any point today you get kicked out of the meeting, you can return to this meeting just as you signed in earlier through your link. So I hope that helps. When we get to the other view, which we had just come from with all of the tables and the stage, I'm gonna give a little bit more introduction to that as well as what you're going to expect later in tonight's meeting.
Great, thanks, Sam. Before we get underway, I would once again like to thank each of you for attending and your continued support of the NGS Delegate Council. But I'd also like to express my gratitude and thanks to each member of the Delegate Council Steering Committee. This committee put together the first official meeting or the workshop that we had back in May, and I would like to recognize those individuals at this time for their time and efforts. Sam, of course, Sam Williams, he's from the Virtual Genealogical Association. Susan K. Howard of the Santa Fe County, New Mexico Genealogical Society. Tanea Kuntz from the Nashville chapter of African American Historical and Genealogical Society. Lois Mackin of the Minnesota Genealogical Society. Lori Hermance Moore, Ohio State Genealogical Society. Elisa Scalise Powell, North Hill Genealogist. Ari Wilkins, Dallas Public Library. Sherry Hudson Passy, the NGS Vice President of Society and Organizations. Catherine Doyle, the NGS President, and Matt Menashes, the NGS Executive Director. The foundation that we laid for the Delegate Council will enable the Council to grow and to achieve its goals. So before we get started, let's take just a quick look at how we got here today. So the Delegate Council Steering Committee was established in November of 2020, and we were tasked with clarifying the role of the Delegate Council, defining its purpose, developing its basic structure, and designing and executing the Delegate Council Workshop, which, as I mentioned, was held on the 24th of May, 2021, in conjunction with the NGS Family History Conference. At the workshop, more than 100 delegates, including you, gathered to learn about and understand the workings of the Delegate Council. So let's just briefly recap. The role of the Delegate Council is that of an advisory body responsible for providing advice on genealogy and family history issues to the NGS Board of Directors, and for providing advice to the board on how NGS can best serve genealogy and family history organizations.
The purpose of the Delegate Council is building the community of genealogy organizations through the 3 C's that we talked about at our workshop: communication, collaboration, and counsel. The steering committee members introduce you to these 3 C's at that workshop and their context within the DC. So the DC helps us with communication, with open and transparent communication between delegates, between member organizations, and to and from the NGS Board of Directors. The DC helps us with collaboration among organizations by offering an open space for genealogy organizations to work together creatively to solve problems without feeling constrained. where they can trust that their ideas are going to be heard. And it also helps us with council by fostering an environment where organizations can communicate their wants, needs, and desires, and where issues facing our community can be discussed.
Great, Sam, you were breaking up on my end there for a minute.
Oh, I hope that y'all heard me. Basically, just a recap of the 3 C's and just reminding us what our work here tonight is all about.
Great, thanks for that. Well, in order for the DC to operate and be productive, it needs leadership. So our first order of business this evening will be to elect a chair and a vice chair. These 2 individuals will lead the delegate council and with the support and assistance of a new steering committee. The steering committee will be comprised of volunteers from the delegates, such as you, and appointed by the chair. Serving on the steering committee is only one of the opportunities that will be available to become involved in the delegate council. We will now proceed with the election of a new chair and vice chair. The slate as it stands is Sam Williams for delegate council chair and Kate Townsend for delegate council vice chair. Sam Williams is the delegate for the Virtual Genealogical Association. He is a professional genealogist with focus on Central Virginia, African American, and Greek American research. Sam received the NGS Certificate in American Genealogical Studies and is currently in ProGen Study Group 50. He has presented on genealogical topics to local societies and at conferences. He serves as the secretary for the Virginia Beach Genealogical Society and is a member of APG, NGS, Virginia Genealogical Society, and the Virtual Genealogical Association. Kate Townsend is the candidate for vice chair. Kate represents the North Hills genealogist. She's an experienced researcher, investigator, and genealogist. Kate previously worked as an investigator in banking and consulting, and in 2019 left the corporate world to pursue a career in genealogy. She holds Boston University's Certificate in Genealogical Research and is actively involved as the co-program chair for the North Hills Genealogist and publicity chairperson for the Western Pennsylvania Genealogical Society. Both of these positions, the chair and the vice chair, are uncontested, but I would like to give each of you the opportunity to weigh in on the decision and show your support for Sam as the chair and Kate as the vice chair. To show your support, you can click on the Q&A button, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, and a statement will appear saying, I support Sam Williams as the delegate council chair and Kate Townsend as delegate council vice chair. If you do not see the Q&A option, you maybe have collapsed your chat box, and there should be a blue tab in the middle of your right-hand side. Click on that to expand the panel. And then to show your support, click the up arrow right next to the statement. As you can see, the numbers are climbing there. Thank you all for participating. That's great. We'll let everyone have a chance to get in and show their support. And we'll just give it another minute or so and make sure everyone has an opportunity to participate. And if anyone has any problems finding that, please do let us know. Okay, it looks like the majority has been able to submit their votes, and it looks like it is unanimous that Kate and Sam will be slated for their positions. Sam, Kate, congratulations. Would you please both join me back up on stage? All right, we'll see if Sam can join us. Here he comes. Great. Sam, Kate, I'd like to congratulate you both on behalf of the Delegate Council, and I'd like to thank you for stepping up and sharing your leadership abilities and your enthusiasm for genealogical organizations. Again, congratulations, and I'll turn the meeting over to you two.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you everybody for your participation already for tonight, and we're excited to progress with our meeting. So I'm excited to be working with such a great group of leaders from the genealogy community from around the country. Over the last year, as we've built the structure for the Delegate Council, I've really had one particular goal in mind. I want the work that NGS does, the new NGS, and this Delegate Council to be practical for all of its member organizations. I want everyone to walk away from our quarterly meetings energized with new ideas, with practical solutions, and hopeful for the direction that this industry is headed. So I thank all of you already for being here tonight. I also want to reiterate that the steering committee, that group of individuals that Dawn was just talking about, is only an advisory body to the DC. So you, as the Delegate Council, are who are making the decisions for our group. And it's here, and we're here to help to prep for those meetings. And we look forward to serving with all of you, and we want to be of service to our genealogy community. Kate?
Thank you so much for electing me as the Vice Chair of the Delegate Council, and thank you, Sam, for introducing me. I'm so excited to get started. During the Delegate Council kickoff workshop in May, a phrase that I heard over and over again and that really struck a chord with me was, "We are not alone." Genealogical societies across the United States are facing similar challenges. With these challenges comes opportunity. We have the opportunity to use the Delegate Council as a mechanism to create solutions for the challenges our societies face. We have the opportunity to connect, work together, and innovate. I'm excited to serve as the Vice Chair so that we can continue the momentum in discussion of employing the 3 C's of communication, collaboration, and counsel in our quarterly meetings and beyond. I think this will not only strengthen our genealogical societies, but the genealogical community as a whole. And I can't wait to start working in this capacity, beginning with our discussions tonight.
So I want us to go ahead, and now that you've heard a little bit about Kate and I wanted to introduce together the members of the Delegate Council Steering Committee for this coming year. Now, some of those individuals that have been part of our steering committee in this last year are going to carry on with the steering committee. So of course, I'm involved in that as well. Sam Williams, Dawn, who we just heard from, then Susan Howard, Tanea Kuntz, and Lois Mackin. Now, we also have, of course, the NGS Vice President of Society and Organizations, Sherry Hudson Passy, Catherine Doyle, the NGS President, and Matt Menashius, the Executive Director.
And I'm excited to introduce the new members, including myself, Kate Townsend, from the North Hills Genealogists. Kristen Sexton will be the Secretary from the California Genealogical Society. Junie Fenner from the Cape Cod Genealogical Society. Sue Fitzpatrick from the National Society Descendants of American Farmers, and Karen Mal-Ohan from the Cobb Genealogical Society.
And so we're excited to have this great group of individuals being able to work together as a steering committee to be putting some of this in between meetings together so that when we come together for quarterly meetings, we'll have things to discuss and we know our action steps at each of our quarterly meetings. So now I believe that we have Matt introducing someone special for us.
Hi, Sam. Hi, everybody. Hello from the virtual NGS headquarters just outside of Washington, D.C. Thank you all so much for being here. Sam, Kate, on behalf of the staff of NGS, congratulations on your election and welcome to all our new steering committee members. We're going to have a great year and we're really looking forward to it. I want to just take a quick moment as part of our agenda tonight to introduce the newest member of the NGS staff who will be assigned to support the NGS Society and Organization members. Our new Organizations and Communities Manager, Kate Smith from Kansas City, Missouri, is with us this evening. And if our intrepid producer, Doug Martin, can bring Kate up on the stage, we'll introduce Kate. Hello, Kate. Welcome
Hello.
to NGS.
Thank you very much.
So, Kate, I just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and introduce yourself to the delegates. It looks like we have about 100 plus delegates on Remo with us tonight. And
Wonderful.
so just want to give you a few moments to say hello and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all having me tonight. As Matt said, I'm Kate Smith, and I'm very excited to be joining the NGS team as your organizations and communities manager. I do live in Kansas City, Missouri, and I have worked with associations and nonprofits both here and across the country. And most of my career so far has been spent with an international association for people who work in property tax assessment and appraisal. I did that for nearly 10 years and have been a part of pretty much everything membership related. I've been involved with marketing and communication, helped with events, and anything else that might be needed in an association, especially with a smaller staff. So I have a lot of experience to bring to NGS, and I hope that that is a benefit to you all as I support you. And I can't wait to get to know each of you and learn more about NGS and how we to move things forward. I'm excited about the future and everything that's happening with this getting kicked off. So I look forward to being in touch with you after I officially start on September 9th. And I'm going to be learning a little bit tonight. So thank you again for having me and welcoming me. And I will hand things back over to Matt and Sam and Kate.
Well, Kate, thank you so much and welcome aboard. I will say this 100 times if I say it once, but it's going to be tough to keep the two Kates separate. But, and with Catherine Doyle as our president, there are a lot of Kates now in my life. So welcome aboard, Kate Smith. Congratulations again, Kate Townsend, and Catherine Doyle. Thanks for being named Catherine.
Thank you, Matt.
With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Sam and Kate for the rest of the evening. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kate. And y'all are lucky there's only one Sam. But Williamses are a little bit more common, as anyone who's done research in the South probably knows. So what I want us to do now is I'm going to let you know about our upcoming meetings, and then I want to introduce and explain what we're going to be doing for the next 40 minutes after that. So our next meeting is going to be November 16th. Next after that will be February 22nd. Now these next two meetings are going to be virtual. They're going to be online. So stay tuned for the details about that November 16th and February 22nd meeting. And our final quarterly meeting for this year is going to be in Sacramento, California at our May 24th meeting at the NGS conference. So now let me give you a little bit of information about what we're going to do next. I know hopefully some of you got the chance to read the information that Matt sent out to us earlier this week. But next, we're going to have two 20-minute sessions. We're going to have a speed friending session, kind of an icebreaker opportunity for you to get to know other fellow delegates. And then, oh, see, we're getting an announcement right now. Get ready to join your fellow delegates at tables and participate in a 20-minute get acquainted speed friending session. So you're going to be seeing some of these little announcements like that because Remo is sending that out to us. So our first 20 minutes is going to be that speed friending. You're going to see some questions provided for you in your groups. You're going to be sharing your name, where you're from, the organization you represent, and then as an icebreaker question, your favorite geographic area to research in and why. Make sure that you allow everyone else in your group to answer the questions as well, because you only have 20 minutes. Now, the second 20-minute group is going to be a topical discussion. So I want to reiterate this particular point is that these questions are meant to lead all of us into coming up with solutions to problems rather than seeing and focusing only on the problem. Our steering committee crafted these questions based on the issues that you brought up in the kickoff workshop this past May. So you're going to recognize 5 of the 6 discussion groups based on those discussions that we had in May. So what I want us to do is when we get to that next stage of tonight's meeting, when you find a table, you're going to choose a note taker for tonight so that that person can write down those answers for the questions that you've been provided. And then you're going to have the opportunity to take these questions and answers back to your organizations to discuss and use them in your organization as well. And eventually, some of these discussion points are going to be used as threads in the Higher Logic platform we're going to be talking about later on tonight. So as when we first came on tonight, we were in kind of a building, right? We had 3 different floors that we could choose from, but most of us were all on the first floor. And there were a lot of tables. You notice that there were only 6 people allowed at each table. And all of them are labeled with a certain topic. So the topic of the table that you choose tonight will be the discussion that's the questions that you're going to be discussing. Those 6 are online presence and social media, managing virtual events, fundraising, recruiting and managing volunteers, growing and expanding membership, and preserving and accessing records. So as a reminder, each table has a limit of 6 attendees. And the questions that we're going to discuss were in that packet of information that Matt sent out, but we're also going to share them in the chat box as well for you. And as a reminder, whoever is your note taker, they're going to send those notes to us by email. And we're going to share that email address to y'all. It's DCSC, which stands for Delegate Council Steering Committee, at ngsgenealogy.org. And again, as a reminder, if you have any problems tonight with technical stuff, you can click the question mark in the bottom left side of your screen. And when we're done with the 40 minutes of our icebreaker and our discussion questions, we're going to return to the view that we're in right now for a special interview with one of our fellow delegates. So now it's time for us to get sent back to tables and for you to join. Remember to choose a table based on the topic that you're going to want to be discussing tonight. And I hope all of you enjoy the discussions that we're going to be having together. See y'all soon.
Hi, I'm Tania Kuntz, and I am a member of the NGS Delegate Council Steering Committee. I'm pleased to bring to you a conversation with Susie Hainish. Susie is the delegate from the Massachusetts Society of Genealogists. She's been doing genealogy research for more than 40 years, and we're delighted to be able to share with you her thoughts of being an NGS delegate. Let's tune in. We are here to have a conversation to share a little bit about and learn from you, your experience as a delegate and what you might have to offer to the other delegates as we have our delegate meeting today. So let's start with you briefly sharing your journey of how you got involved with MASOG and how long you've been a member and what led to your current position.
Well, I'm pretty new at this. I've been a member of MASOG since October 2014. But I didn't get involved with FGS until 2019 when you guys were ready to merge with FGS. And I wanted to get involved. I was the vice president. I am the vice president of our local society. And I thought it would be nice to expand my contacts and network statewide. So that's why I volunteered for a role in MASOG. And then when NGS merged with FGS or vice versa, they asked me to just continue and be the delegate. And I said, sure, why not? Which would take me to, the national level. And again, for networking purposes and to find out what was going on out there, we need new ideas, fresh ideas for our society. So I thought that would help. So I was asked and I said, yes.
Perfect. Yep. We find that to be the experience for many. We get asked and then we say yes and we go for it. Thank you. What are you looking forward to the most this year about being a delegate?
Well, networking is important. I'm going to take this seriously. And what I hear and what I learned from NGS, I need to bring back because I want that national flavor or that influence to have a positive effect on our local society and on the Massachusetts Society. MassSOG has 4 chapters, and the chapters are Bristol, Merrimack Valley, Middlesex, and Worcester. And I'm a member of the Worcester chapter. But I'm also a very active member in our local society. And what you're doing nationally is important. We need to bring that down to the grassroots level.
Mhm.
I want to know what I want to learn, but I also want to access the best of the best. And I have to tell you that Society Day that you had, was it in May?
Yes.
We only have about 70 members in our little local society, and 10 of our members participated. And everybody raved about it. So you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, that is so good to hear. We're glad that you were able to have so much participation.
Oh, it was great.
Wow. Wow. And so you mentioned that you want to bring back what you learned from NGS. What are some of the ways that you plan to do that for your society?
Well, we use our newsletters. I'm personally personal friends with several of the presidents in the area. So I pass on news that way. If it's time sensitive and it's something that's going out that people need to know immediately, instead of waiting for the next newsletter, we might paste it on our webpage. We have a webpage or our Facebook page, or I'll call the presidents directly and say, we need to get this out. How do you want to handle it ASAP? And sometimes it's just a direct email blast. So we have several ways.
All right. And it sounds like
we have our ways.
Yes. And it sounds like you're very engaged and being thoughtful about how you do that. So
we're trying.
That's good to hear as well. What is the most pressing issue that your society faces that you would like to work with the NGS Delegate Council on?
This and number 5 were the hardest questions. I'm going to try and put it in a little capsule, and I've got notes here that I'm going to refer to. Our membership has decreased because of the pandemic. Some people did not up again. There's a lot of information out there, Tania, on that's free online, yes. And with Roots Tech, that was just a boon to people. So a lot of them are thinking, why do I need to join? And why would I pay dues? And I can't go to meetings anyway. So I'll just utilize what's free out there. So our membership is down. So the most pressing issue we have is trying to increase it's threefold: increase our membership, focus on younger generations. Some of our youngest people are in their 50s, and most of us are in our late 60s, 70s and up. And we need to pass the baton to someone. And the other thing is funding sources. We get a lot of our funding from NERC, and NERC did well this year, but not as well. I think we were in direct competition, with Roots Tech. So we didn't get as much money from participating in NERC, the New England Consortium. So we're trying to find new ways with grant writing and with just building up our society coffers any way we can, finding new funding sources. So I would say the most pressing is membership and funding.
Okay, thank you. And I think that's a challenge that many will be able to relate to. So yes, hopefully we can make some progress this year in helping societies as a whole address some of those. Wonderful. And if you could offer one sentence of advice to NGS for this coming year, what would it be?
You're not going to get it in one sentence.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, this is, I'll talk fast if I can. Don't cut me off because this is really important. We have noticed in the past that the traditional format of coming to a meeting, some people come to be entertained, just to socialize. Some people come to be educated, but it's a taking situation. I set up a speaker, they come, they take the information, they socialize, they go home. We would like NGS to help us move from the takers to the givers, so that our membership is more interactive, that they give back, that they get involved, and would like to have it go from a static to a more dynamic platform. Does that make sense to you?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
yes.
And from passive membership to actively participating, We are, especially in our smaller societies, and even at the MASOG level, it's the same people doing many hats, wearing many hats, doing all the work. And we need new people who will step up and take leadership roles. And we would like younger people to step up and take leadership roles. So we have an idea. We're hoping NGS could maybe start thinking about creating a partnership with Boys and Girls Clubs of America, or Boy and Girl Scout organizations, or the YMCA, or church groups, something where they have youth groups, so that there is already a national program set up working with NGS, so that we at the very grassroots, smaller local level can say, oh, this is already in place. There's a presence there. So we can tap into our local YMCA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or whatever, and draw those young people in so that we can share with them what we know. And that gives us a brand new generation to pass the torch to. That's the idea that we would like NGS to go in.
Well,
Can you do that?
thank you so much for sharing that with us, right? It's the idea of setting up an infrastructure that others can leverage. So
Absolutely.
Thank you. We appreciate your
Absolutely.
feedback. And to wrap up our conversation, let's have a little bit of fun. What is a fun fact that you can share with us about the state of Massachusetts?
Well, Massachusetts was one of the first original 13 colonies, and I have 13 fun facts. So do you want 2 or 3?
Let's have 2 or 3 of them. Yes.
Okay. Did you know that fig Newtons were invented in Cambridge outside of Boston?
Okay.
And they were almost called fig Shrewsbury, but Newton Mass won. So that's why they're called fig Newtons. Now, when you're doing research in genealogy, it's important to research the location. So a lot of these tips that I have are location centered because you need to know who you're dealing with. We had the first zip code in the world was in Germany, but the first zip code in the US was in Massachusetts. And we had the first public park system. And also this, you can cut me off anytime, but did you know it is technically illegal to use tomatoes in clam chowder in Massachusetts? You cannot use tomatoes in clam chowder in Massachusetts. That's why we have the white stuff.
That is great. Those are good tips
Okay,
and good
good.
facts. Gives us something to smile about and have fun.
That we
And-
love our Bay State.
Well, thank you so much, Susie, for this conversation. We're delighted to have you and have you share, and we will be seeing you around the meeting.
I think you will. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you.
Well, this is Forum. This is our new online member community, which will be launching in September. Forum is a place for conversations to happen for NGS individual members and for our society and organization members. You'll see here, this is a new website. It is not a replacement for the ngsgenealogy.org website, but this is a place for you as members of the organization to go to have conversations. Much akin to a social media feed, but this is an internal NGS online community for members. There will be a series of communities that will be created within Forum for conversations. And I will show you just some of the samples that we have now. We'll have an all-member community for everyone to be able to converse, all 10,000 NGS members. There will most likely be a community discussion group for genealogy librarians and reference services community. Some of the people who are involved with our society and organizations, since we have about 300 libraries that are members of NGS. There will be a genealogy methods discussion. There will be a discussion group just for you, for our organization delegates. We may have a society newsletter editors community. That's a sample right now. There will be communities for our staff and for a lot of the internal committees from NGS. These are typical discussion groups that go beyond the ability just to present text. And we're really excited about the conversations that we'll be able to have on the communities. In addition to the information about these communities, we will have new directories available for our members. The member directory will be searchable by first name, last name, probably not company, since most of our members are not affiliated with the company. But just as an example, I'll do a search for myself. If I can spell my own name, and you'll be able to connect individually with members and communicate with them. So you'll be able to see all of that information about members, and it's a great way, particularly for someone like Sam Williams, to potentially connect with all the Williamses and connect with cousins throughout the NGS membership. In addition to the directory, we'll have some listings for events. We are planning to move the NGS event calendar, which is the information on that event calendar comes from our NGS organizational administrators, your peers within your organizations who post events. So you'll see here we have our first event posted, the NGS Family History Conference in May. And then there will be some ability to post documents, to post YouTube videos, to share web links in our discussion groups. So it's a little bit more robust than a typical Facebook group because we can manage much more robust file sharing and information like that. So this is just a quick preview. We'll be launching Forum in September, and we just wanted to give you a brief teaser to it, particularly since a lot of the conversation from the delegate community will happen in those in that delegate community that I showed you earlier. So that's all I wanted to share with you at this time, and I'm going to turn it back over to Sam and for some last words before we end the evening. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight for the first official delegate council meeting, and for participating and being part of tonight's event. So thank you all.
All right. Thanks, Matt. I'm really excited for Forum. We've been talking about it for a year, and to see a highlight with all of you, it was my first time getting to see some of it as well just now. So I'm really excited, and I hope all of y'all are really excited for that as well, for a place for us to get together. Because again, being a delegate isn't just about a once-a-year meeting. It's not even just about our quarterly meetings, but it's to be about the work that we're doing together to support our genealogy community at large. So, closing thoughts for tonight. I wanted to thank all of you for joining us for our first official meeting of the NGS Delegate Council. I hope you enjoyed getting to know one another with some of our icebreakers and in working collaboratively to address some of our community's more pressing issues. So just as a reminder, if you were the note taker tonight for your group, please remember to email us your discussion notes to dcsc@ngsgenealogy.org as soon as you can. And I wanted to make sure that you remember that you have an action item to take with all of y'all, to take these questions and the answers from your group back to your organization and see how you can bring the energy and enthusiasm that you witnessed tonight back to your organization. Kate?
Thank you so much, Sam. And I also want to thank all of you for attending tonight's Delegate Council meeting. As Sam mentioned, I hope tonight has inspired you to take what was discussed with your other delegates to your home organization so that you can continue those conversations there. I know I really enjoyed speaking to everyone at my table, and will be disseminating the information discussed regarding virtual events to my society. So I'm really excited to see you all again on the evening of November 16th, and I look forward to our discussions at that time.
So with that, the first ever NGS Delegate Council meeting is now adjourned, and you're free to leave at this point, or you can, when we move over to our table view again, you can find a table, pull up a chair, and keep chatting. The room is going to be open tonight until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So good night, and I'll see all of y'all on November 16th.
See you then.
See y'all.